Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So we're from Carolina Navigators, and we're going to talk to you today about holidays and holidays of the different countries that we've gone to. So my name is Annie. I'm a junior at Chapel Hill. I am a history and a global studies major with a minor in education. And this past semester, I studied in England.
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm a sophomore at UNC here. My majors are econ and global studies, and I went to Germany. I lived there actually when I was 4 and 5 years old, and then I also did an exchange program there in middle school, and I've just been back a few times since to visit.
Hi, my name's May. I'm a junior, global studies major, Chinese minor, and I went to Beijing, China last fall. And I was studying abroad. I had an internship, and I lived on a Chinese campus.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the countries that each of us went to and a major holiday at each of the countries. So we can see some of you. Raise your hand if you've ever been to England.
Actually, I have.
I was like at the airport.
Okay, raise your hand if you've ever been to Germany.
Wait, we've all been there. Okay.
And raise your hand if you've ever been to China. Okay, cool. So the three big holidays we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to be talking about Guy Fawkes Day, or known as Bonfire Night. So has anyone heard of Guy Fawkes Day? They just know because I told them about it. So for Germany, we're going to be talking about Christmas. Has anyone heard about Christmas? Know about Christmas?
Hopefully.
I never heard of it.
And then for China, we're going to be talking about the Chinese New Year, right?
Yeah, Chinese New Year Spring Festival.
So has anyone heard of the Chinese New Year Spring Festival? Okay, cool. So for each of them, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the festival or the holiday, kind of why it was started, and then how it was celebrated when it was first started, and how it's celebrated now, and kind of how it shows how the country has changed, and then also how it relates to the U.S., kind of looking at holidays that are similar to ours and like why there are some differences too.
Right? Cool. All right.
So we're going to dive right in.
Let me share the screen. Oh, I might need some help.
We're going to figure out how to show you our PowerPoint.
Here we go. Oh, okay. Well, but then, oh wait.
Okay. And then you're going to present.
Oh no.
No, what?
Slideshow. Where? Oh, there it is.
Sorry about this. Okay, we've got it up now. Okay, so our presentation is called Happy Holidays from Carolina Navigators. So that's me. That's me in the UK. And where the big arrow is pointing, that is the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom consists of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. That big island right there. So I was in England. That's a picture of me in England.
This is me. That was when I was really little in traditional German clothing. I lived where that pin is in Germany, which is near Frankfurt. Yeah, and you can also see the United Kingdom over there if you want to kind of understand where those two relate to each other.
Yes, they're really close.
Is that your cat?
Yeah, that's my cat.
It's a huge cat. Okay, this is actually in Xi'an, but I was in Beijing, so it's that red dot up towards the north on the east side. And Xi'an is, well, it looks close, but it's not that close. But yeah, this is a picture of me. I was riding bikes on the city wall of Xi'an.
Is Xi'an the one that says X-I-A-N?
Yeah, sorry, X-I-A-N. Okay. And it's pronounced Xi'an. Cool.
All right. So I'm going to start us off with Guy Fawkes Day, otherwise known as Bonfire Night. So this is a really big holiday that's celebrated in the United Kingdom. So there's a really cool history behind Guy Fawkes Day. So if you're from the United Kingdom, if you're from England, you've probably heard of this little saying. It's, remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. So this holiday was started because of treason and bombs and plotting. It's kind of crazy. So there's two pictures up here. One is of Guy Fawkes and the other is of King James I. So in the early 1600s, there was conflict between Protestants and Catholics in the United Kingdom. England used to be a Catholic nation, but it had recently become Protestant or Anglican. So they had broken away from the Catholic Church. So a lot of people in the United Kingdom had become Protestant, but there were still some people who were Catholic. So the king was Protestant, and he didn't really like Catholics, so he was kind of mean to them. They were kind of discriminated against. So a lot of the Catholics didn't like the king either. So there was conflict between these two parties. So King James I, the guy that's kind of posing, that was the king. He was a king in the early 1600s. So in 1605, he was king. And so during that time, there was a group of Catholic men who decided, you know what? We don't really like this king. We're going to try to change it. We're going to try to take him out and put a Catholic king instead in place. So 13 guys got together, including this man in the hat. The one that's not posing in a hat. And his name was Guy Fawkes. And so there was a group of 13 men, all Catholics, who just didn't like the king, and they decided, what we're going to do is we're going to assassinate him. We're going to kill the king, and we're going to bring in a Catholic king instead. So they came up with this plot. And the plot was to put 36 barrels, these big barrels, filled with gunpowder, in the bottom of the Houses of Parliament, which is this building. So it's a really pretty, massive building. It's also known as the Palace of Westminster. It used to be a palace. Now it is where the government is. So all the men and women that control the government in the country, they work there. So what the men plotted to do was they were going to take all these big barrels of gunpowder, which were basically like bombs, because there was so much gunpowder in them. If you lit them on fire, it would explode. So the entire Parliament building was going to explode on the day that the king was going to be in the House of the Parliament. So they were going to kill the king, they were going to kill the Prince of Wales, who's the king's son, and then a bunch of other members of Parliament who were going to be in the house. So at first, all the guys were excited. They didn't like the king. They were all on board. But the problem was some of the men, so there were 13 of them, some of them got a little worried because they were okay with killing the king, but they weren't okay with all the kind of the innocent bystanders that were going to be in the Houses of Parliament too. So they were kind of worried about the extra lives that would get hurt because of this plot. So one of the men, a few days before King James I was supposed to go and they were supposed to blow up Parliament, he wrote a letter to his friend who was in Parliament. He said, don't come on November 5th. Like, it's not safe. Don't come. Don't ask me why. Just, I know this. Don't come. So he wrote the letter, and of course, the guy saw it, and he's like, well, I have to tell the king. So the king ended up seeing the letter, and the men got caught. So it's known as Guy Fawkes Day because they put all the barrels down, and so Guy Fawkes was down there guarding the 36 barrels filled with gunpowder. So they march down, and they find Guy Fawkes. So they capture him. They tortured him, and they executed him. So that night, all the soldiers were running around saying, the king has been saved, the king has been saved. They didn't actually tell the public why or what had happened, like what he was saved from. The English population kind of learned over time about the plot. But at that time, they were just like, the king was not safe, but now he's safe. So they ended up burning all these big bonfires in celebration. They weren't quite sure what they were celebrating, but it was to the king's health. So they burned all these big bonfires. So this is an image of kind of what it may have looked like back then. So there's huge bonfires, and it was this big celebration, and it was pretty exciting. So from then on, it started happening more and more. So initially, it was just to celebrate the king being saved, kind of like how great Protestants were. But as time, and the monarchy and the government actually enforced at first, saying, you have to burn these fires. We're going to make this like an official day. So November 5th, which was the day that the House of Parliament was supposed to blow up, but they caught Guy Fawkes instead, it became a national holiday. So on that night, they build these huge bonfires. You can see this bonfire, see the people, how small the people are next to them. So it's massive. They bring all this wood together and they set it on fire. And it's really, really cool. And they also have all of these fireworks. So it's a really big deal. Also something that they started doing. So initially they just burned bonfires kind of in celebration that the king was saved. But over time, the British population learned what actually happened. They learned about Guy Fawkes and how he tried to blow up the government building. So what they've done is they started creating these kind of stick figures that are supposed to look like kind of Guy Fawkes. So they build these figures. You're usually made out of like straw or hay, and then they throw them on top of the bonfires. And what in kind of in the past few hundred years or so, kids would run around, they'd make their own little figures, stick figures are made out of straw, and they'd run around saying, penny for the guy, penny for the guy. And so people would give them money so that they could buy fireworks. They don't do that as much now, but that was kind of something that especially kind of the poor kids would just run around and just kind of ask for money. This is a big celebration. It's a big community thing. But now communities instead get together and they donate money so that they can have these big fireworks. And so that's actually known as an effigy. So they build an effigy of the man and then throw him on the bonfire. So they make these massive bonfires. So it's a little morbid. It's a little weird, but it is really fun. And so this one is actually, this bonfire kind of looks like the Houses of Parliament that were supposed to blow up. So instead it's built all of wood and they just set it on fire, which is pretty cool. They also love fireworks. So there are so many fireworks that happen on Guy Fawkes night or bonfire night. So there's fireworks everywhere. I was actually in London, which is the capital city of the United Kingdom, when I was during Guy Fawkes Day. So there were fireworks everywhere. They start setting up weeks in advance. You can actually pay to go to certain parts of the city and watch it. So it's become a little commercialized. Instead of running around like asking for a few pennies to buy your own fireworks, there's these huge, huge displays that happen. And so you can actually rent spaces, you can go to different events to watch kind of these big, crazy, amazing, beautiful fireworks. So it's kind of like our 4th of July. So we set off a lot of fireworks then. So that's the Houses of Parliament. That's the building that they tried to blow up, but they didn't. And so now there's a bunch of fireworks that they set off all over the city in celebration that the king survived, and they caught the guy. And so in the city, there's these big celebrations, and it's a little bit more commercial. They definitely kind of, you have to pay more to go. But then also in villages, so this is kind of an image of a village, and they all just kind of dress up in different costumes and walk around with torches and do their own fireworks, and its own kind of a community celebration, kind of celebrating their history. So that's Guy Fawkes Day. And at the end of the presentation, you guys can ask any questions you want.
Cool. So you said it's similar to like July 4th, but I feel like we don't really have anything equivalent to burning.
Yeah. We don't burn big like bonfires
Yeah.
or kind of dress up crazily. I mean, I guess we have little bonfires. I've kind of done like little bonfires with like s'mores.
Yeah, with some friends.
But yeah, we really like fireworks. So that's kind of the big similarity.
Okay.
Because depending on when bonfire night is, so if it's during the week, so when I was there, it was on Thursday. So on Thursday, there were just a bunch of fireworks. But then there were also fireworks on Friday because, some people were working Thursday. And then throughout the weekend, you saw fireworks. And I actually like traveled across the country as I was on that weekend. And so that night I was just on a train and just saw fireworks and more fireworks. Like every village I passed, there was fireworks. So they draw it out. They try to have fun with it as much as they can. But yeah, it's definitely like this big presentation spectacle thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to